left to say. So I don't know why I'm last. But I'm very honored to be here. Thank you, Father Mamba and Sam and John for the invite. And for the St. Therese family. St. Therese is no stranger to me. I'm no stranger to St. Therese. I've been here for 12 years from Detroit and was a leader of Liberation UCC. So we've been around each other for quite some time. So since there's nothing really concrete for me to say other than just more about me, let's see.
Come on, Marlon. Sing for us.
When I think about this time, and I think about what's happening, I shared with somebody recently that when I'm pulled over by a police officer, that police officer does not know my brilliance. When they're approaching my car and I'm rolling down the window, they don't know the many hats that I wear. They don't know whose shoulders I'm standing on. They don't know all the amazing things I'm capable of. The only thing that they're responding to is my black body. And the way in which law enforcement has approached our black bodies is the core of the problem. If we can see by video evidence that the way in which police and law enforcement approaches black bodies in this country, and then the approach to white bodies in this country is drastically different. The tone of voice, the way, the care of white folks, what is that? What tells our law enforcement officers to approach black bodies one way and white bodies another? So as a racial equity consultant, I talk race all day, every day. And I help organizations understand what it means to build an infrastructure to become anti-racist. We're really, at the core, are talking about our belief systems, the stories and narratives that we've been taught about each other, and who it served. That this narrative that all black people are lazy and they want to be on welfare and get something for nothing, that served a particular purpose. If we really just slow down, the whole term welfare queen was made up for a particular purpose. Let's take a pause, let's peel back the layers and see who's benefiting from these narratives and who's being impacted and why. So a lot of my work is really helping teaching our history, the history of this country, how we got here. So we're talking about faith and how my faith lends to the work that I do and where we are planning on going. And to know that, you have to know where I come from. In my culture, you got to know your people. You got to know my people, right? So I stand on the shoulders of Bessie Mae Ingram, my grandmother, who she and her best friend, our pastor, Elder Lorraine Harrison, is the foundation of my faith. These women, I watched them at a very young age assist women and children in domestic violence situations. They would literally go in and pull people out of those homes and take those women and children to other places. 2 black women would face abusers, putting their bodies on the line so that those women and children can get out of that situation. The premise of being my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper, the foundation of that comes from their life, their lived experience. They taught me so many things about what it meant to be, what it meant to take care of people, how to treat people like you want to be treated. All those things are in my foundation of faith. And so, growing up, there's a whole long story. Losing my mom at 14 and having to really wrestle with that was the point where my faith was really challenged and reinforced. Really wrestling with the grief and loss of my mom gave me thoughts of suicide, and a voice came to me, like, many others have shared, and told me reminded me of who I was and whose I was. And then a flood of music filled my head, and I started to sing. And gospel music is what really saved me. I can sing myself happy. One of those songs is Mahalia Jackson's How I Got Over. My soul looks back and wonder, how did I make it over? Tell me how we got over, Lord. I've been falling and rising all these years, but my soul look back and wonder, how did I make it over? So that was the thing that kept me grounded and focused on what it was that God called me to do. So speed up. I lose a lot of family, and I'm here. I'm here in Seattle, and I learn a new type of racism I had never experienced before, and what us racial equity professionals call now
I'm in the middle of this
racism.
video.
So
I'll come back.
I was greeted with lots of niceties and smiles, but on the back end, it was not quite nice, and actually told a different narrative. When I lived on Capitol Hill, when I would go to work, wait on my bus, I would stand here, and the white folks stood 6 feet away, and it was as if they had a memo about bus etiquette, because every day, different group of white folks, they all gathered 6 feet away from me. And I'm like, well, what is going on? So I'm new, I don't know. It was like, okay, maybe this is just the area. I get to work, and people would smile in my face, and then maybe an hour later, would sit in a meeting and share how they feel unsafe in my presence. And I'm like, what is going on here? You just said nice things to me, but then this is what you say. And so I learned very quickly I needed to teach my leadership, my managers, how to protect me. I had to teach them to listen for the dog whistles and the emails and the voicemails that they were getting. And I said, you have to realize that people are going to treat my black body different. And these are the ways. I went over scenario after scenario of teaching them, this is what to look for when this wording come here, and anytime safety comes into play, that's bullshit. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm just telling you like it is. So, sorry. Oh, wow. So, and I said, you really have to look beyond just these superficial words to really understanding the belief system that's at play. And so from there, my whole career in equity and social justice, as King County sees it, and racial equity consulting, really took off in 2010. So this is how I got here today. I've been building strategy, helping folks understand how to have these conversations about race and racism, really try to unpack all these narratives about each other. But then what do we do next? That part that everyone is waiting for. How do we do it? What does it look like on the ground? How do I interrupt racism in my job as a leader? That, and so that's what I do. That I help organizations understand how to do that on the ground. It really starts with some of the basic stuff that's been talked about. It's relationship. We need to move beyond transactional relationships with each other into transformational relationships. I need to be able to see you and see the brilliance that you bring to my organization, the brilliance that you bring to my group, the brilliance that you bring to my family, and then celebrate that. It really has nothing to do, as shared, about our skin color, because that's all made up. If you know the definition of race, It's all made up. It's all made up for a particular purpose and benefit. It was to benefit white people to the detriment of people of color, particularly black people in this country. So, what do? There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work. You got to know their history. Our history is very important. You got to know where we come from in order to know where we're going to. You got to have some imagination, because the change that everyone has talked about, the change that our kids, our black community is asking for, has never been seen before in this country. It's been seen before in history, and that's where we need to look, because 1619, it wasn't like this. But you got to know the history. You got to know why the history is written the way it is. If there's a reason why our history is not taught fully in our education system. There's a particular purpose of education. The reason why the education system was created was for a particular purpose. It was to pump out workers. There was two tracks. There was people who do the work and people that lead the workers. You got to know your history. So I'm about to ramble, but the last thing I'll say is, and I'll leave you with this. Sometimes the leader that you're looking for is you. Sometimes, if you've just been looking for somebody to lead, it might be you. So think about, what is it that you can do differently from this day forward? Something that might scare you, but you need to take serious, because the community is asking for a change, and it really takes all of us to do it. It's not one person. It's not Dominique running the show behind the scenes. It really takes all of us. It really takes all of us. And that's what I'll leave you with. Thank you.